This is the Samsung Galaxy A05 disassembly. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, make sure you subscribe and click on the notification bell so you'll be notified once I upload a new video. Also, if you need any tools, there are links in the description. First, the SIM tray needs to be removed. Looking at the SIM tray, we can see a red rubber gasket around it. Now, heat needs to be applied to the backplate with either a hairdryer or a heat gun to loosen up the adhesive underneath, and then a pry tool can be used to pry the backplate off. I prefer to use a hairdryer since there's less of a chance of damaging any of the components inside by overheating them. Here's a look at the plastic backplate. Now there are 17 Phillips screws which need to be removed. At this point, a pry tool needs to be ran in between the back housing and the frame of the screen and ran along the edges to pop off the catches. The back housing is also made of plastic. The glass camera lens covers can be replaced by applying heat and prying them off, so you don't need to take apart the phone to replace those. There's some graphite film over here to help transfer heat. On the other side, we can see antenna flex cables on the top and bottom border. The battery cable can now be disconnected, followed by the rest of the cables. As for the coaxial cable, that can be disconnected by just popping it off. So looking at the main board, we see a 2 megapixel depth lens and a 50 megapixel primary camera. Neither have OIS or optical image stabilization. The camera connectors can be disconnected by just popping them off. There's a secondary microphone on the top, and the LED flash is located here. There's also copper tape on the shields to help transfer heat. The SIM and memory card reader is located on the back, as well as the proximity sensor, and we can see the 8 megapixel front-facing camera. There's additional copper tape on the back shields to help transfer heat. Once the copper tape has been peeled back, we can see thermal paste on top of the RAM and processor. Here's a better look with the thermal paste removed. This is the bottom speaker assembly, and there's a rubber gasket around the opening. And here's the speaker itself. So we can see that this flex cable not only connects the screen to the main board, but also the subboard. So if you needed to replace the screen, you'd have to remove the back plate, the screws in the back housing, as well as the speaker assembly on the bottom, and then you disconnect these two flex cables from the main board, and this flex cable from the subboard, at which point you would heat up the front of the phone where the screen is to loosen up the adhesive underneath, pry the whole screen off, apply new adhesive, reapply your new screen, making sure you run the flex cable back to the opening in the mid frame, and reassemble the phone. Looking at the subboard, we see rubber gaskets around the charger port and headphone jack, and the primary microphone is located in between them. There's also a liquid damage indicator sticker, which is that white sticker. Here's a look at the other side. The vibrator motor is located on the bottom corner, which is held down with some adhesive. To replace that, just apply some heat and pry it off. When it comes to this phone, if you accidentally insert the SIM ejector tool in the wrong hole, you wouldn't damage any of the microphones since those are seated above the holes. However, you would damage the filters which are seated against the frame. Moving on to the battery, there's a pull pouch provided to help you pry the battery off. This is the 5000 mAh battery. The flex cable for the volume keys and power button is located on this side. To replace that, just gently peel it off. And the earpiece speaker is located on top, which is also held down with some adhesive. In order to replace that, just apply some heat and pry it off. For the repairability score on this phone, I give it a 9 out of 10. Now it's time to put it back together. Once everything's back together, apply new adhesive and reapply the backplate. Flip over the phone, power it on, and you're done. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.